Daniel didn't understand what was happening. This wasn't like the fun games he played with his classmates at school. It felt wrong. Confusing. At just 10 years old, Daniel was a bubbly and bright primary school pupil who loved two things more than anything: playing football and flipping through his favorite adventure books. During school hours, Daniel was always surrounded by friends, laughter, and energy. But once the school bus dropped him off at 3 p.m., the excitement faded. His house stood still, empty. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Onyu, owned a successful fabric store in the market and often worked long hours to provide for their only son. By 6 p.m., his mom would return home, but those 3 lonely hours felt like a lifetime to Daniel. One evening, unable to bear the silence anymore, he spoke up during dinner. "I don't like being alone after school," he said softly, his eyes downcast. His mother paused, putting her spoon down. "I know, sweetheart," she said, gently rubbing his hand. "We're trying our best to make ends meet. It's just for a little while longer." Daniel understood, or at least he tried to. But deep inside, he wished they didn't have to work so hard just to make him feel safe. A few days later, Mrs. Onyu found a solution. "Daniel," she said with a smile, "you'll be staying with our neighbor, Miss Tola, until I come back from work." Miss Tola was a familiar face, a cheerful young woman in her late 20s who lived alone in the flat next door. She often waved at Daniel and even slipped him sweets now and then. The owners trusted her completely. "Okay, Mum," Daniel nodded. He didn't see any reason to worry. Miss Tola had always been nice. From that day on, Daniel spent his afternoons at her place. Her home was cozy and smelled of vanilla. The first few days were fun. She always welcomed him warmly, asked how school was, served him snacks, and let him watch cartoons. Over time, she even helped him with homework and laughed at his silly jokes. She seemed like the big sister he never had. One Friday afternoon, Miss Tola surprised him with a brand new football. "This is for you," she beamed. "You're like the little brother I never had." Daniel's heart swelled. "Thank you, Miss Tola," he said, hugging the ball tightly. But then, something changed. The following week, right after his homework, she sat unusually close to him on the couch. "Daniel," she said softly, "let's play a special game today. It's just for us. But you can't tell anybody, okay?" Daniel frowned slightly. "What kind of game?" "You'll see. It's fun, I promise," she smiled. He hesitated, but nodded slowly. At first, it seemed like a joke. But as the game began, Daniel felt a tightness in his chest. It didn't feel fun. It felt strange. Uncomfortable. Wrong. "I don't want to play this game," he whispered. "It's okay," she said, stroking his arm. "You'll get used to it." From that day onward, every single day when Daniel came over, she asked to play the game. No matter how much he tried to avoid it, it always ended the same way, with confusion, shame, and a sinking heart. He stopped enjoying football. Stopped smiling. He no longer read his books. He'd lie in bed at night and feel tears on his cheeks without knowing why. And then, something that hadn't happened in years started again, wetting the bed. At first, he thought it was an accident. But it kept happening. The shame grew. He didn't know what to do. Who would believe him? At school, Mrs. Umedi, his usually cheerful teacher, noticed the change. "Daniel? Are you okay?" she asked one morning, crouching beside his desk. He didn't respond. Just stared ahead silently. Later that day, she gently called him aside after class. "You can talk to me, Daniel. Whatever it is, I promise you're not alone." Tears welled up in his eyes. He bit his lip. Then, he whispered, "It's Miss Tola, she makes me play a game. I don't like it." Mrs. Umedi's eyes filled with concern, but her voice remained steady. "Thank you for telling me, Daniel. You are very brave. This is not your fault, and I'll make sure you get the help you need." The school immediately contacted the principal, the counselor, and then his parents. When Mr. and Mrs. Onu heard what had been happening under their noses, they were heartbroken. "We're so sorry, Daniel," his mother sobbed, holding him close. "We should have listened sooner." His father was furious, but also deeply remorseful. They filed a police report. A kind officer came to speak to Daniel personally, telling him that he had done the right thing and that he was safe now. Miss Tola was arrested shortly after, and the truth behind her smile finally surfaced. The neighborhood was in shock. Determined to never leave their son vulnerable again, the owners adjusted their work schedules. Daniel was never left alone anymore. He also began seeing a kind, patient counselor who helped him talk through everything at his own pace. Gradually, his nightmares faded. The bedwetting stopped. And Daniel started smiling again. He returned to football with his friends, laughing, running, and slowly rediscovering his joy. One afternoon at school, he approached Mrs. Umedi quietly. "Thank you for helping me," he said, his voice stronger now. She smiled and knelt down beside him. "You were the brave one, Daniel. All parents should pay close attention to their kids, no matter how busy their schedules are. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more great tales like this, and until then stay safe and stay blessed."